Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard Sports Podcast. Week 1 of the NFL in the books. We have finally have some stuff to talk about on the weekly basis, and we both have to eat a lot of crow this week because just not even knowing the results, I know we didn't do well at all in the prediction game, and I didn't even do well in the betting game, which I'm going to get to a little bit later. But first of all, Smokey, how are you doing?
Man, I'm all right. I'm better than DeAndre Swift right now. Ooh, yeesh. That looked couple of starting running backs on the down. I think Marlon Mack on IR, Le'Veon Bell on IR. Yeah.
A lot of things happening early on. But DeAndre Swift is about as tough of a start to a career as you could imagine. Can only go up from here.
He looked all right, but Jesus, that drop though, that's a confidence breaker right there, man. Hey, we're gonna see what he's made of after this. Either he's gonna recover and move on, or that could just break his confidence right there.
They got to give him more carries. He just got to keep playing. Give him 20 carries, let him do what he does, and that stuff will be sorted out. It's acceptable for a rookie. It happens. Bad moment for... You could argue in a moment like that, don't call the name of your rookie running back for the fade route in the end zone. Like, that's a bad coaching point. But if you trust him, okay, that's fine. He's supposed to make the play. If it's going to him, he didn't. It happens, but I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think so. It looked to me though like Stafford might have been going. I mean, I'm sure it was called, but it just looked like it from an outside standpoint that was the glory play. Like, hey, I'm the Georgia QB. I'm gonna throw to the Georgia running back to win the game here.
Yeah.
And then
okay. See, if he catches it, he's a superhero, right? They're like walking through Detroit on Monday morning with the Barry Sanders shirts, and they put Swift over the name.
Exactly.
And they're like, there we go. So it happens, right? But we'll see how it goes on. But we have to break the news here, or better yet, the bad news. How did we score in our predictions last week?
Oh man, not great. You actually edged me out. You had 8 correct picks, and I had 7. And
so 8 and 8 and 7 and 9.
Yeah, 7 and 9, dude. That's a bad start. That's probably as bad as our worst week last season.
It sounds like it, yeah. 8 and 8 is not a good... Like, I wouldn't expect to win with 8 and 8. It's not necessarily very proud to win with 8 and 8. I will make the excuse that it's week 1 and a lot of unpredictable things happen.
Yeah. My problem, I know, is that I went out on a limb, and I knew it was week 1. And that's why, I thought, I'm going to make up some crazy picks here just to spice it up a little bit. And, picking against guys like the Chiefs and the Ravens, it's not just smart to do,
It happens. Or Aaron Rodgers, for that matter. That's one for me.
Oh, yeah. I tried to tell you, man.
It happens. I'm not going to do it again, I promise. Just really quickly, there's going to be some betting advice. My betting recap from last week. How well did we do? Spoilers, not very well. But I'll have some new advice, some couple of results to pick. And this time, for sure, guaranteed money in the bank. But that's at the end of the prediction. So how about we start picking with Thursday night here? We have a classic here. We have the Bengals at Cleveland.
Bengals at Cleveland. Man, this is almost as good as the Texans and the Chiefs, huh?
Well, I don't know I don't know about that. It's okay.
The Ohio dumpster fire bowl right here, man. You know what? This is really tough, though. It really is, because after one game, I give up on my post-hype sleeper for the Browns. That's for sure. And this is the reason I did not put Baker Mayfield in the breakout candidates of quarterbacks this year. This is the reason, because I know this is what he's capable of. He's capable of walking out in the middle of that field and taking a dump right there and walking back off the field. Joe Burrow, man. Joe Burrow didn't look bad in his first game. He didn't quite have it in him to will the team to victory. Although if A.J. Green could have had that touchdown at the end, they would have won that game. Being on the road, and being that Baker still has the experience edge on Joe Burrow, I'm going with the Browns here. Only because the tie goes through the home team. So I'm going to go with the Browns.
Okay. I'm gonna Well, first of all, let me say this. I think I was quite impressed with Joe Burrow's first game. I think they should have won it, frankly, or they at least should have gone to overtime. It was a horrible kicking mistake, as we are kind of used to in week ones. Kickers are terrible. So maybe you want to even just go for it. But he played a good game. He played better than we've seen a quarterback play in the Bengals uniform for a while. So they're already trending up. Cleveland is the gotcha from me to you for this week. Obviously, against Baltimore, you picked them to win. Not smart. Don't do that again. Obviously, Baltimore's looking like the best team in the league at the moment. For this game, I'll pick the better quarterback. I'm going to take the Bengals. I'm going to take the Bengals to win at Cleveland. I'm thinking the Browns are. I'm saying your prediction is halfway correct in that everyone is like no one cares about them. Like they're slept on. But I think rightfully so, because they're probably going to go 7-9 this year. Mm-hmm. Didn't look good at all in any phase of the game. They got run over and not very pretty. So I actually have the Bengals pulling it off. I think the momentum is with Cincinnati in this one because they came off a good game that they should not have necessarily even lost. Whereas the Browns got run over. So not a lot of energy for Cleveland there. How about this one? Jacksonville at Tennessee, and with the Jaguars team that surprised everyone in week 1.
Yeah, man, they did. No one I don't think anyone on earth picked them to win that game. There's no way. I mean, it's kind of frustrating too because I thought for sure they were tanking, but hey, Minshew magic is what it is, man. Minshew magic. Now we have to see if the other division rivals, who are continuing their winning ways from last season, apparently, because I believe both of us picked the Broncos to beat the Texans.
Yeah.
No, I mean the Titans. I'm sorry.
It was a close one.
Yeah, but hey, the Titans pulled it out, and Derrick Henry, kind of like Derrick Henry is like Lamar Jackson for me. I'm expecting a regression at any moment, but it just hasn't happened yet. So obviously they're going to keep leaning on Derrick Henry. The Jags, they are what they are, and they're fun to watch. I mean, Minshew is always fun to watch, but I'm going to go with the Titans at home in this one. And it is basically Derrick Henry versus Gardner Minshew for me.
I want to pick Jacksonville so bad because I feel like almost we have to make it up to them, underestimating them the entire season.
Yeah.
We're talking about, they're in the race for number 1 pick. They're one of the candidates to go like 3-13 this year. And then they come out and they beat the Colts. Like the Colts that we had projected to potentially be a candidate for an AFC championship this year that are in a win now mode. And they get beat by Jacksonville, who are supposed to be tanking. So I don't know if this is all just a huge fluke or if Gardner Minshew really stepped up his game and really is really playing at the top of his ability now. I don't know. And it's hard to believe that Jacksonville is going to maintain that sort of play over the entire year, so I'm gonna disrespect them one more time. Sorry, Jackson. I'm gonna go Tennessee with this one because they still seem to be what they are. I underestimated Tennessee. I thought they overachieved last season whenever they made it to the AFC Championship game. I didn't think the roster quality was that of a roster that would go to an AFC Championship game. It seems like they are still very, very solid. Corey Davis stepped up, so they have a better receiving core. You got Jonnu Smith now in as tight end, who's also a big fantasy sleeper, of course, or in your opinion, one of the breakout candidates. And Ryan Tannehill seems more than solid, and you mentioned Derrick Henry, obviously. So this Tennessee Titans team, just under everyone's noses, has become incredibly solid and high quality. I'll have to pick them at home to take it, but you know what? This might be a sneaky, very, very good game. Maybe a game of the week candidate that no one saw coming.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that, man. The sleeper good game. Yeah. Yeah.
How about this one though? Carolina, Tampa Bay.
Man, this is so far like the first 3 games right here are tough for me, man. The Bucks and the Panthers. The Panthers, I will say, are better than I expected them to be. I really expected them to get run over in that game, and that didn't quite happen. They held in there. I know you actually picked the Panthers to win, so
I did.
kudos to you for believing in them at least, because they are better than we thought they were going to be. I mean, they do have Christian McCaffrey. And I'll tell you this. Joe Judge there. I'm sorry. Is it Judge or Rule? I get
Matt Rule.
Yeah, Matt Rule. Yeah, I get Joe Judge and Matt Rule mixed up because one's a judge and one rules, I guess. But anyway, him and Joe Brady, they're taking over. Joe Brady was an offensive genius, apparently at LSU. But why would an offensive genius call the game-winning play, or what could have been the game-winning play, to go to the fullback instead of Christian McCaffrey, who was on the field?
Well, because if it works, he's an offensive genius because no one saw it coming because he called the fullback.
But when it doesn't work, you don't look like an offensive genius anymore.
Yeah, looks kind of weird. That's true. But that's the difference between an offensive genius and a good play caller. See, a good play caller calls McCaffrey and gets it most of the time. But if that other guy calls the fullback and he gets it once, he's genius.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you can look at it that way, but it all comes down to you just lost to the Raiders. The Raiders. Think about that. You lost to the Raiders. And that sucks, but that's what makes this game hard, because Tom Brady and the Bucs didn't look wonderful. They looked, somewhat efficient for the first half of that game, and then it kind of fell apart. The Saints are what the Saints are, as much as I hate the Saints, they're still a great team, so I don't think many people expected the Bucs to win that, but so therefore it comes down to a bad team playing better than normal, and what should have been a good team playing a little under average. The Bucs are at home. I'm going with the Bucs and Tom Brady to pull this one out. But if the Bucs lose this game, I'm off of them for the rest of the season.
I'm also picking Tampa Bay. I think they're the better team, and they didn't have the better showing. But you have to look at it in a relative sense, right? They played the Saints, one of the better teams in the NFC South. Yes, they came into the season overrated. Yes, the Panthers came into the season underrated. But considered how they were rated, Tampa Bay is still a lot better than Carolina in practice. And they would have been better than Carolina with no offseason moves, because Carolina got worse last season, or since last season. And yes, Carolina lost to frauds. They lost to the Raiders. The Raiders are frauds, thereby Carolina are frauds. And I don't think the Buccaneers are going to be a team pushing deep into the playoffs or anything. As a matter of fact, I know that they are not. They are actively overhyped, but they are still more solid and a higher quality team, and they're going to win the game. And if they don't, then I would be highly, highly surprised and actually shocked. I didn't expect them to be that bad. I expected them to be a lot worse than people thought, but not that bad. So Tampa Bay to win at home. Anything else would definitely be an embarrassment. How about Denver at Pittsburgh?
Denver at Pittsburgh. Man, I was on Denver. I thought they were going to turn it around. And they still have a chance to, but it's not going to happen in this game. That Steelers defense is amazing. And you cannot run on the Steelers defense. You saw what they did to Saquon Barkley? Shut him down. Well, he had 6 total yards in that game.
That's less than Big Ben.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. We all thought the Bucs could shut down the run, man. The Steelers are on fire right now. I mean, one game, it's hard not to overreact from the first game of the season, but I'm still going to run with the Steelers here. I mean, they're especially because they're at home, and the Broncos just weren't looking like what I expected the Broncos to look like. But hopefully Drew Lock will turn it around later in the season. But for right now, I'm going with Big Ben and the Steelers.
I have to agree with that. They just looked really, really good. Now, you could argue it was only the Giants, but then we don't really know what the Giants are. Denver had a much tougher opponent, but the Steelers just came back this season and looking so solid. The defense looks top 3 in the league, absolutely as we expected it to be. Defensive front is ferocious. And still the addition of Minka Fitzpatrick just very noticeable on the field. I think they pose a lot of problems for young quarterbacks, and that was the case for Daniel Jones. It's going to be the case for Drew Lock as well. As much as I like the Broncos, I like Drew Lock. This offense is a bit too young, too unexperienced I think, to really gel against this sort of a ferocious defense. So Pittsburgh, to me, look forward to this one not necessarily being very close. I think this is going to be one of those welcome to the NFL moments for a lot of those starters, those young starters on the Broncos offense. And actually, Big Ben looks pretty good. He came back, he looked pretty good. Like, he wasn't really gone. He played just fine. He doesn't have to be the MVP anymore to be successful and be and win with the team that he's on, because he's on one of the best teams he's ever been on. So Pittsburgh, to me, in a pretty easy one over Denver. How about Rams and the Eagles?
Yeah, man. Talk about not getting these guys right. The Eagles, that O-line is horrible. You lost to the Washingtons. You lost to the football teams. Man, Jesus. I mean, I guess, well, you know, they lost a lot of pieces on that O-line. They couldn't stop anything, man. They couldn't stop ping pong balls from rolling off the table, dude. The Rams look good. I mean, not great. Jared Goff didn't look great in that game. You know, he looked like Jared Goff of last year, but they were able to pull out a win over the Cowboys. And they were at home, so it's not like they went to Cowboy Stadium and beat them. But I guess in this one, I'm going to take the Rams to win on the road, because right now it looks to me like that O-line is what made the Eagles good at one point, and they don't have it anymore. Too many pieces are gone. They got rookies out there. I think the Rams take this one. It's probably a closer game than we would expect, but
I think it'll be a close game. And just a quick reality check, the Washington, not Redskins, are the only undefeated team and clear division leader in the NFC East.
Yeah.
There we go. After week 1. Cowboys lost, Eagles lost, Giants lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bad game for Philadelphia. It was a bad game. Now for the Rams, granted, they shouldn't have won it. They shouldn't have won it if it wasn't for a terribly blown call. I think the Cowboys looked like a better team for most part. They underperformed. Rams were very solid, though. We can't say anything about that. The Rams defense still is strong. Aaron Donald still is phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
putting pressures from the inside, and that might be a mismatch because you just mentioned that Eagles offensive line having some struggles. So they'll have a lot of work with Aaron Donald this year, this week, potentially wrecking the game for them. I'm sounding like it's obvious who I'm going to pick, but I'm going to switch it around 180, and I'm going to pick Philadelphia once again. I'm going to trust them one more time, give them one more shot, because I know they're the better team. I know they have the better quarterback, and they're supposed to have the better all-around offense, and maybe even a decent or even better all-around defense. I think they had a horrible showing. We've seen it from a couple of teams that are a lot better than they played last week, just slipping up, hinting at the next matchup coming up, potentially. It happens. Sometimes you play a terrible team, and you just underperform. It's week 1, you get it out of your system, and you go and you beat the Rams. I'm hoping. I am very much giving them one more shot, but this division might be a lot weaker than we thought if this trend continues. But speaking of that next matchup, how about the Niners and Jets? And go ahead. This is where you got the gotcha. You can let me have it. I guarantee you're not going to be as critical of the Niners as I'm going to be, no matter what you say.
Listen, real quick before we move on to the Niners, though, I gotta say this: I did pick the winner of that division to go 9 and 7. Sorry.
True. I can agree with that. I can see that.
I think that entire division is horrible, and it will be horrible. But yeah, let's move on. What do you think about Kyler Murray these days?
When I think about Kyler Murray, I think it's weird that he has like this legal immunity to where someone breathes at him too hard, they draw a flag. That I found that kind of weird. It doesn't really matter if he like slides or goes head first like into people. Like if you don't evaporate into thin air to avoid contact with him, you're getting flagged. I don't know, it's weird. Like he might be practicing some dark magic or something. I'm not sure.
So he gets the Tom Brady rule, huh?
I guess.
Oh man, let's blame. All right, let's blame it on the refs. All right.
No. I'm not blaming it on. Not blaming it on. That's the most noticeable thing about Kyler Murray that I saw this week, and also that he has an insane receiving core. Just randomly, DeAndre Hopkins, Dan Arnold, the tight end, and Larry Fitzgerald. That Arizona team is stacked. They are stacked, more stacked than I expected. Still, should not have won the game. They didn't deserve to win the game, but San Francisco deserved it even less so. So the correct team won the game because the 49ers played horrible. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen. I've rarely seen a team underperform so badly. Probably the last time I saw the Niners underperform this badly was last year against the Steelers. I think in I think it's the Steelers against in week 4. That was the week after Ben came out, and there was a combined 8 turnovers in the game. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you who's worse than the 49ers right now is the Jets, because Adam Gase. That's why. And
that's the only reason.
Yes, it is all Adam Gase. Dude, I don't know, man. Le'Veon Bell gets injured and Adam Gase tells him to go back out and play again. I'm not saying he did that on purpose to try to get rid of Le'Veon Bell, but he might have done that to get rid of Le'Veon Bell. The guy does not like Le'Veon Bell, and I'm not the biggest Bell fan either myself. But I think you could give Adam Gase, Patrick Mahomes, DeAndre Hopkins, and Julio on the other side, and George Kittle and Kelsey on either side, and you know, whoever at running back. Yeah, I was gonna say Todd Gurley, Saquon. Give him Saquon and Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. And this guy will lose by 20. I'm telling you, like this. I don't just the fact that he's still a head coach amazes me. How do you not fire? I would have fired him. I would have not only fired him 2 seasons ago. I would have fired him last season. I would have fired him after this game. I'd be firing him right now.
You would have never hired him to begin with.
Exactly. Because the Dolphins, that's why I wouldn't have hired him. The 49ers are going to win this one easily on the road. If they lose this one, then I'm going to laugh at you until eternity. But they should win this one very easily.
As you should, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. Obviously, it'd be insane not to say they win. Terribly underperformed. They're going to win this game. I strongly still expect him to start the season 5-1. I did expect him to start the season 5-1. I wasn't sure which was going to be the loss. I thought Cardinals might be the most likely slip up, considering it's week 1. And a lot of things came together in that game, we'll have to say. If you looked at the Niners subreddit, anytime the 24 hours after the game, you think it's apocalypse time. Like, we're going 8-8. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get cut after the season. Like, it's over already. Like, we're back to mediocrity. That's not going to happen. It seemed like a lot of things came together. That block punt, terrible, blown calls, and also just my kingdom for a wide receiver. I'm serious. We have Allen Robinson, allegedly Odell, Mohamed Sanu out there. Pick up a wide receiver. The only player that performed well on the Niners offense was Raheem Mostert. Their leading receiver, their leading rusher, and their only receiving threat last game was Raheem Mostert. You can't play like that. You can't play offense like that. Kyle Shanahan knows you can't play offense like that. We need receivers, and we need them bad. Jimmy needs to get his stuff together, avoid some of the mistakes, because this was a very winnable game. There was a lot of opportunities they blew despite bad calls to win the game, and they should have won the game. Arizona's a good team. That's just what happens. So they're going to beat the Jets. They're going to beat the Giants also, and the Dolphins, and hopefully also the Rams. I have little doubt they'll beat the Eagles. They'll start 5-1. It will be okay, but if they don't, you definitely should laugh at me for that. And I don't know what I do, but I'm not gonna think about it until we get there. Niners win.
Oh yeah.
Buffalo Bills at the Dolphins.
Man, step 1 of Josh Allen becoming the MVP complete. Now we're on to step 2 and the Dolphins. This should not be a difficult task. We saw what the Dolphins had against Cam Newton, which is a very, very similar player. I expect Josh Allen to do the exact same thing to them that Cam Newton did. You know, probably run the ball 15 times for one, you know, and dude, he has great receivers. Like, these guys, John Brown was good by himself. You know, he wasn't the greatest. He wasn't elite. But you have an elite receiver now. And now that makes John Brown better because the elite receiver is drawing coverage. You can throw to John Brown. And we saw that happen. Dawson Knox, great receiving tight end. I think that he's going to be more and more integrated into this passing game as the season goes on. Dolphins are what the Dolphins have been. And Fitzpatrick, you know, he's either going to come out and win the game in spectacular fashion or blow the game in spectacular fashion. And we saw which one he chose to do last week. I think the Bills are going on the road, go down to Miami, pick up this W easily by 14 points at least.
Just a quick anecdote that I thought of too. With Le'Veon Bell on IR, there would be a certain degree of poetry in Frank Gore just putting 100 yards on the 49ers this weekend, but that's for to talk about for another day. I wouldn't be mad. I would not be mad.
Adam Gase loves Frank Gore, so
yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, it's a good decision.
He's probably going to have him carry the ball 20 times this game.
So give me a more reliable running back. You can't find him. He's getting 3 yards every play, no matter what.
It's very possible.
It's a lot of value in that. As for Buffalo and Miami, yeah, I'm totally with you. Buffalo should win the game. Though this is the kind of game where Fitzmagic happens, right? Like, oh, they're going to lose. They haven't been good. And this is the game where he just puts up 35 somehow and wins the game in the last second with late game heroics. I'm not gonna challenge the odds though. I'm saying Buffalo wins. I think they're too strong of a team. Very convincing showing. It was only Adam Gase in week 1, but still very convincing win for Buffalo against the Jets there. So I don't see them slipping up this early to Miami. Buffalo, an easy one. Mm-hmm. How about the Vikings and Colts?
Man, Aaron Rodgers said, "Who's gonna beat us? Who's the Vikings? Nah, I don't. Not today. Vikings tried to make a comeback there at the end, but they just couldn't do it. They couldn't pull it off. A lot of garbage time. It was just too much for them. I mean, Aaron Rodgers on top of his game is too much for most teams in the NFL, especially the Vikings. That defense is not the defense we remember from the Vikings. That is a different defense, and they're not as good. Colts, I am disappointed in. Jaguars, you got ran over by a tanking team. Easily, I might add. But I do think as time goes on, Phillip Rivers should get used to this offense and, become more acquainted with the receivers, the running backs. We see that Marlon Mack is gone. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be great in this league, so he should have the lion's share. And Phillip Rivers seems to love Nyheim Hines. He wants to dump the ball down to him a lot. So I think the Colts gets their offense rolling in this one at home. I mean, they have a great O-line, one of the best in the league. I don't know why. If Phillip Rivers can't get it done behind that O-line, then he's done with this league. He's done. There's no reason to keep playing. I'm going to take the Colts to win this one at home.
I had a lot of trouble picking this game. I think this will be a very, very close one. Both teams kind of underperformed. And I will correct you on one thing. Aaron Rodgers said the Vikings aren't going to beat me. That's what he said. Not us. He said not.
Okay,
didn't say us. He said me.
Yeah,
he said me. That's what he said.
More like
and
Aaron Rodgers,
that's what it looks like too. And he has every right in the world to say it exactly like that. And he proved it too. Yeah. As for this game, I'm gonna pick the Colts as well. I did last week, and they obviously lost in pretty bad fashion to Jacksonville. I think this will be very close. I'm talking like game-winning field goal, last second, maybe overtime kind of game. Because I have a very tough time gauging both of those teams. And yeah, I agree with you on Phillip Rivers. I think this is the time to put up or ride off into the sunset. As great as he's been, if you can't make the playoffs with this kind of squad, I think it's probably time to go home. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the man Aaron Rodgers, he is going to be opening the season at home this weekend against the visiting Detroit Lions. What do you think?
The quick little anecdote here. When the story goes, when Aaron Rodgers was drafted by the Packers, day one at training camp, he walked into the lunchroom, the commons area, wherever they were, the dining area, and found Brett Favre sitting at a table reading a newspaper. So he walks up to him and says, "I'm Aaron Rodgers. How you doing, old man?" And that pissed Brett Favre off. And Brett Favre played a hell of a season after that. Played 3 more hell of a seasons after that. And when they finally let him go and went to Aaron Rodgers, he went to other teams and had good seasons. Still went to the playoffs. I want to know if Jordan Love did that to Aaron Rodgers. You know, walked up like, "Hey, I'm the new quarterback, old guy." You know, because
I don't know if he did that.
That would be awesome. I mean, that's poetic justice. And
it would be, though. Let's for 1 second also realize that Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback is head and shoulders above anything Brett Favre ever was. That's a different caliber that we're talking about.
And that's tough, man.
No, that's not tough. Brett Favre just threw the ball. Like, listen, Brett Favre is not a top 10 quarterback. He's a Hall of Famer, all-time great. I get it. Not on the same planet as the body work for Aaron Rodgers as an actual quarterback.
He was the gunslinger. He was the original gunslinger, you know, and
yeah, he was a Jameis Winston with better luck. That's who he was.
Maybe so. I mean, you know, I've tried to make that comparison too, and people get mad at me for saying that. You know, for comparing Brett Favre and Jameis Winston, but
I mean, very similar players.
Yeah, but you know, the winning record belongs to Brett Favre, whereas it doesn't
Absolutely.
to Jameis Winston.
I mean, he was a better Jameis Winston with better luck. Let's say it like that.
Maybe.
I don't see Jordan Love being that kind of guy coming to the locker room, but also
that would be funny.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers needs to be reminded to go back and be good again, because he's never been bad. He's always been this. Just the team sucks. The Packers are terrible, and they're trying anything, like actively trying anything to make him mad at the team and not at the opponent. But somehow, I don't know how he does it. He has this God-given ability.
For some reason, though, when he really gets pissed off, he starts dominating ball games, no matter who the team is around him. And I think he gets complacent sometimes. And, you know, he sits back and like, well, if you guys are not going to try, then I'm not going to try. But when he gets pissed off, he dominates games all by himself.
That's scary.
Devontae Adams, of course. But
so I'm assuming are you picking him?
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Packers because the Lions really disappointed me. I picked them to win that game. And then it comes down to it. They should have. I mean, we can blame DeAndre Swift all that we want, but the Lions are still led by Matt Patricia, and I might have to put him in that Adam Gase, Matt Nagy category if they keep this up.
I want to see when that happens. I will pick Aaron Rodgers in this game as well. Note, I'm not picking the Packers. I'm picking Aaron Rodgers. I refuse to pick the Packers. Picking Aaron Rodgers to win the game. If Aaron Rodgers at halftime decides to suit up for the Lions instead, I'm picking him to win the game still for Detroit. So Aaron Rodgers my pick. Detroit, I don't know what to think about it. Tough loss, obviously. I think they're a promising team. It seems to be yet another year where we're thinking this is the year the Packers fall off and then Aaron Rodgers comes out at yet another level. So, gotta pick him. This is your Falcons next at Dallas, the crumbling Cowboys. What do you got?
Crumbling Falcons also. I'm disappointed because how do you have that good of an offense? You have a quarterback putting up 450 yards, and you still lose by, what did they lose? Where's the score? What the hell did they lose
like 16 or something? They lost by way more than they should.
13. Okay, you put up 450 yards of passing yards. God knows how much total offense they put up. You have 10 catches to 3 receivers. Julio is out there. Calvin Ridley is out there. You made a superstar out of Russell Gage in this game. And you lost by 13. Jesus Christ. Dan Quinn is supposed to be a defensive-minded coach. Where's the defense? There is no defense. Like, these guys are out there taking their lunch break on the field. Like, man, it's like Swiss cheese, you know? Jesus Christ, man. It's like those games they have where the wall will slide to you, but they got to cut out of a person like aimed at a weird angle, and you got to try to fit through it. As long as you can fit that hole, you can squeeze right through that. And that's how this defense is. If you can contort your body at a slight angle, you can go right through this defense, man. Doesn't matter. They're not used to people not running straight up into them, apparently. But having that said, man, who did I pick? Oh, I picked the Falcons to go on the road and beat the Cowboys because I really don't think Dak Prescott is as good as people are trying to tell me Dak Prescott is. Dak Prescott, he can't will a team to win. And the fact is, he has much better pieces than Aaron Rodgers does on this team. If Aaron Rodgers had that team, they'd be undefeated. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm going to pick the Falcons to go on the road and win this, and if they don't, I'm going to start breaking stuff.
This is a very hard pick for me to make here, honestly. For one, I am now convinced more than ever that the Atlanta Falcons team suffers from bipolar. Because it seems like one week to another, or one season to another, maybe on the bigger scale, they just completely change without any visible reason. It seems like one day they're the most talented roster, they put up 50 points on people, and then they somehow can't stop a nosebleed the next week. It's such an up and down, and I don't quite understand why it is that way. Why this team can't find any consistency, neither bad nor good. And I guess if we're going on a week-to-week basis, that would tell me that this is going to be a good week and they're going to run over the Cowboys. Now, no, Dak is not as good as people think that he is. That is absolutely true. But the Cowboys are one of the few teams in the league that actually talent-wise match up with the Falcons on an equal level. The question is really in this one, what team is underperforming less? Like, who's playing down to the competition less so in this one? Because if both those teams played at the top of their ability, this could be an NFC Championship game, just from the rosters. And but we both know somehow these teams are in 8-8 territory.
I was going to say it has been at one point, but actually, the Packers beat the Cowboys and went on to play the Falcons. And that,
right, right.
But
that's what it was, exactly. Yeah. That was one of the Aaron Rodgers miracles there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
But talent-wise, these teams are super high up there and quite equally matched. I have a tough time calling this game. I'm gonna pick Dallas by like a point. Like, don't even get mad at me. I have no idea who's gonna win.
Oh yeah.
Flip a coin. Who's gonna have a high? Who's gonna have a low? I don't know anymore. Both teams underwhelming last week. And I can call it. I'll take Dallas for being at home. That's the only reason, for being at home. That's why I'm taking them.
Can't hate that.
How about the Giants and Bears?
Giants at Bears. The Bears were somewhat impressive considering the situation. I thought, at least, that Mitchell Trubisky was doing the Mitchell Trubisky thing and blowing this entire game. He somehow made a comeback at the end of that game that was amazing. It looked like he was an elite quarterback for that last quarter. Dude, when I went back, I watched half of this game, and then I went on to watch a different game. And I came back to this game at the very end, and I was like, why are the Bears leading this game? What happened? Like, really, what happened? They had 6 points when I tuned it out. They made a 21-point comeback. And then the Lions blew it at the very end. But, Jesus, I don't know what to make of them. I still don't think Matt Nagy's a very good quarterback. I mean, coach, I'm sorry. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is a very good quarterback. I don't know what to make of them. I know the Giants aren't playing very well. I really think Danny Dimes will figure it out eventually, but he's not doing it right now. I'm going to take the Bears to win at home.
I'm just noticing more and more how tough these matchups are this week. I would expect this to be one of our worst weeks, but considering we already went 8-8 last week, maybe it's not. So many tough games. I like some of the Giants and some of the Bears, and like what you described there with turning the game off and then on later and then wondering what happened. That happened to me with the Washington Philly game because I saw it being at 10-0. I was like, okay, yeah, they're getting smoked. Sad story. That's kind of as expected, and they end up winning the game somehow. Chicago, similar situation. Yeah, they should have lost the game probably still to Detroit, but you can't ignore that they did end up winning and actually played decently well for most of it. This is going to be incredibly close. I'll have the Giants here on the road to win it, probably also by a field goal. Not trusting either of those head coaches too much. I think Daniel Jones is a slightly better quarterback. And if Evan Engram, Darius Slayton can step up, which in parts they have. Darius Slayton had a great game against Pittsburgh. Kind of under the radar because they ended up losing still, but he had a very strong showing. Like you also called, by the way, as one of your breakout candidates.
Oh yeah.
I think with the stable receiving core, Giants are the slightly better team, and they're going to win the game. How about Washington? The Washington Footballs at the Cardinals.
Man, the Footballs at the Cardinals. You know who? Man, there's a scary player on Washington. This kid Chase Young. I think he's gonna be the new Aaron Donald. That kid can play, dude. I would be scared if I was a quarterback. I mean, you know, yeah, the Eagles' O-line was falling apart, but Carson Wentz can move a little bit, or at least he used to be mobile. But, dude, I feel sorry for Carson Wentz than Aaron Donald.
He's going to have a challenge. They're going to have a challenge this week, though, because
yes,
Kyler Murray just played the best defensive line in the NFL and did pretty well, with the help of the referees a little bit. But, yeah, he's going to have another challenge here with Washington for sure.
Yeah, and we're going to find out if Washington is the leaders of this division or not. Because I think the Cards are much better than they used to be. I mean, I think this season they're actually going to have a really good season. And if you go back to the prediction, the divisional predictions, you'll see that I agree with myself. I'm going to take the Cardinals to win at home here.
Man, this is weirdly hard because of how well Washington played. Actually, I'm not going to talk myself into anything stupid. Cardinals win the game. I'm going to pick them. I gave all the speeches about how bad calls, Kyler Murray has legal immunity, can't be touched. Like, everything possible went wrong for San Francisco. But all that aside, the Cardinals are a really good team. That's just what we have to acknowledge. They're really, really good. They've improved their defense. Isaiah Simmons got exposed 2 times, and they fixed it on the spot. And if Isaiah Simmons is the leaky spot on your defense, then your defense is really, really good in total. And they have been really good. They have an unbelievable receiving core. They can run with the quarterback and the running back. It's a dynamic offense. Cardinals should win double-digit games this year if last game has been any indication of their ability. Now, Washington, I don't... This is tough to really judge the quality of this team. I mean, they should have lost, of course. Or we expected them to lose. Maybe they were better than we thought. Maybe the Eagles just underperformed more than we expected them to. Maybe a little bit of both. But the Cardinals are just a better team. And yeah, the Washington defensive line is very interesting to watch. I wouldn't compare him to Aaron Donald as much because he's more of an edge guy. I've heard people throw around the name Julius Peppers when he was being drafted, which is very high praise in my opinion. But then again, you have a lot of history with Ohio State in recent years with very strong defensive ends. So I wouldn't be surprised if he made a big impact this year. He's definitely he's one of the most pro-ready ones in a long time, and he has the technique down. So it's got to be a good game, and I just might watch it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Divisional matchup here: the Chiefs at the Chargers.
Yeah, this shouldn't be difficult here. I would like to give the award to the most boring quarterback in the NFL to Tyrod Taylor. That guy, I don't know why he won. I don't know, man. I guess because the Bengals just haven't figured it out yet. But that quarterback play is not the reason the Chargers won this game. I think it was more of Joey Bosa and Melvin. Ingram, yes. I think those two people won the game. And I think that Tyrod Taylor is not a very good quarterback. And he will probably be replaced, I would say, by week 3 or 4. That's going to be my prediction right there. Chiefs are going to win this easily, probably by 30 points.
Yeah, it's a lot of Bosa and Ingram, a little bit of Casey Hayward sprinkled in every once in a while. No Derwin James, of course, which is a big blow to them. Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be a football game or a slaughtering. I mean, come on, this is obviously going to be easy. And the Chargers, by the way, are by no means a bad team. Chiefs win easily by double digits, no doubt. They have the best quarterback. They have a top 3 play caller. They have a top 3 receiver, top 3 tight end, and they might have a top 5 running back on their hands after just one week. I am on the Clyde Edwards-Helaire train in big fashion. I think this offense has become more unstoppable than they have been before, and certainly not stoppable by the Chargers. Without Derwin James, they can produce a good pass rush, but the Chiefs have maybe the best set of offensive tackles in the league also, in Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, kind of under the radar, and then Kelechi Osemele added in at left guard. This offensive line is balling out for Kansas City. This offense feels untouchable. The only way that they're losing games is 45-48 whenever the defense does not show up at all, and even that's going to be hard to outduel Patrick Mahomes. So yeah, Chiefs win it, and good chance to win 15-16 games this year if people stay healthy. I don't see how to beat them. They put a number on Houston. And speaking of Houston, they might have another number put on them this week because they're getting visited by the Baltimore Ravens.
Man, I don't know if you know this, but the Baltimore Ravens have a really good quarterback.
They do.
I don't know about the Texans now. I mean, geez, those guys. But
you don't believe anymore? Are you done?
No, I still believe in Deshaun Watson, but it's much like the Falcons. I don't believe in Bill O'Brien. Another defensive-minded head coach who can't head coach. Like, he just... Great defensive coordinator. Just like Dan Quinn. But he missed that part of head coaching school that teaches you how to win. The Ravens, man, I like I said with Derrick Henry, I'm expecting Lamar to regress at some point, but so far, that's not happening. So, I'm going to not pick against him until I actually see that happen. Because right now, I mean, his week 1 was pretty much identical to his week 1 last season when he went nuclear. So, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick against the Texans. I'm going to pick Deshaun Watson to lose this game. Gonna take the Ravens on the road. That defense is scary.
You have to also consider that Baltimore played Cleveland, so
yeah,
that's not the biggest test of might. Now here's the other thing, right? This has the potential to be close. I'm not gonna say it'll be particularly close. I'll pick Baltimore to win, though. I'll give you this. This is as opposed to last week. Deshaun Watson might actually be evenly matched with the opposing quarterback. A little bit more evenly matched. Maybe he's not better than Lamar at the moment, but he's got a shot. He's not clearly getting taken to school every single drive by the other guy being so unbelievably much better than he could ever dream to be. I think Deshaun Watson's a good quarterback. I think he'll have a decent game, but the Texans don't have the quality of starters on the roster anymore. And David Johnson looked good, by the way. Looked better than I thought. And in parts, they even played scarily well against the Chiefs, exploiting their spotty defense. But Houston could still be better than we think, and Bill O'Brien just might not be the first coach getting fired this year. I think we're looking more into Adam Gase situation right now after 1 week. I don't think they're going to get a lot of here against Baltimore. Baltimore's very strong. A lot of people have them at number 1 in the power rankings, and I'm going to take them to beat the Texans at Houston.
Man, I got to ask you a question before we move on. Do you plan on ever meeting Patrick Mahomes one day?
Do I ever plan on meeting Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
You know what? We should get him on the show at one point, maybe. Why not?
The reason why not is because I think you might scream like a girl meeting Elvis back in the 50s and then faint. Okay. And then faint.
You think so?
Yeah, because you obviously think he's the greatest human being to ever walk the earth. You know, this is Jesus level stuff right there.
He is currently the greatest human being to play the game of American football.
That's why he is our Lord and Savior.
That is correct. He's by far and wide the best player in the NFL at the moment, and it's absolutely appropriate to point that out on a weekly basis, especially when he's dwarfing. And this is no disrespect at all. Other top 5 quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson.
As long as you acknowledge that Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback, I will deal with that.
He's on the cusp of top 5. Definitely top 10, maybe top 5. He's very good.
So now
he's
it's not.
probably...
Now he's just not quite top 5.
He might be top 5. There's a couple people you can put there.
Number 3.
No, he's not.
Man,
stop. He's not number 3.
Rodgers playing like he did last week, that makes it hard. But
and Russell's better too.
Going into this season, yeah, you got a point there. But going into this season, I had it ranked Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, and whoever after that, But I think even Matt Ryan I had there at one point. But
oh my god!
But Aaron Rodgers has vaulted back up there though.
We got Patrick Mahomes, we got Aaron Rodgers. Well, actually, if Aaron Rodgers plays the way that he did this week, I might let Patrick and Rodgers duke it out there for number 1 this year. I mean, this is insane. Russell at 3. And then 4 is the earliest spot that anyone can legally use the name Deshaun Watson as a potential. He's somewhere between 4 and 7. That's where he is. Somewhere in that range. He's really good. He is a really good quarterback.
Did you pick the Ravens or the Texans? I forgot.
I picked Baltimore because Lamar is also in that 4 to 7 area. And the Ravens are better everywhere else. So yes, I'm picking the Ravens.
Yep. He's top 5.
Going to the late game at Seattle, we have the visiting Patriots. What do you think about that one?
Man, tough one, because Russell Wilson's in that top 5. I mean, he played like MVP Russell Wilson last week against a horrible defense. Thank you, Dan Quinn. Cam Newton. Where does Cam Newton rank these days? Because he was not horrible by any means. He kind of looked like the old Cam Newton. Pulled off that win, had some running touchdowns, ran 15 times, passed the ball when he needed to. Jeez, this is tough, man. This really is, because you expect the Patriots to dominate everywhere because they are the Patriots. Oh man, but the Seahawks were on fire, and they lit up that Atlanta defense on the road. Seahawks being at home, I'm gonna pick the Seahawks to win this one. I think they pull it out somehow.
That's a big call. I mean, they looked very impressive, I'm not gonna lie, and Russell Wilson's obviously phenomenal. I said this during the game, and half joking, half serious, but Cam Newton might be the best quarterback that Bill Belichick ever got to coach, at least in terms of potential or like versatility. I don't think this New England team is going anywhere, except for the playoffs. I think they're really good still, and with all the holdouts, and with the maybe lack of receiving talent, Cam Newton is making plays for New England in his first ever start. There's a new energy there. And I don't think that downward trend that we've seen maybe the last 2 years or so for New England, I don't think that's going to continue. I think they're right up there still. And they're going back up there because Belichick's still there. They have new life in their offense. And yeah, I now am quite certain actually that they'll have a better season than Tampa Bay. I hinted at it that it might be a big possibility before the season. I'm pretty sure that, as a matter of fact, if you want to put a couple monster on it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it today. New England to have a better record than Tampa Bay, or at least equal for the season, if you want.
Can't do it, man, because I believe that also.
It feels like it just might be possible, and that's going to start this week. I'm picking New England to go into Seattle and win. Now, of course, I don't like Seattle. It's not a big surprise. You don't like New England. I get that too. I don't love New England by any means. I like it better than Seattle, that's for sure. I think they're going to win the game. I'll pick New England to win the game. I think they're a more solid team. Seattle is very, very strong. New England might just be a little bit better. And it's one of the hard ones this week. In general, has been super, super difficult to pick. But I'm going New England here. And finally, going into Monday night, prime time, what the entire world will have to see. The Saints, Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, phenomenal team versus the almighty challengers, the Raiders. The Raiders? Is this correct? Does it say on your schedule the Raiders are on Monday night against the Saints? Is this correct?
Apparently.
Okay, what do you got?
Man, it's at the Raiders too. You know, I know you're gonna hate this. I kind of want to buy into the Raiders. I think it's fun to think of the Raiders actually winning, and Derek Carr out there with Henry Ruggs. You know, a bunch of I was about to say freshmen, but a bunch of rookies out there winning. You know, and John Gruden playing his 1943 offense, but the Saints just ended up mollywopping Tom Brady. So even though it's in Las Vegas in their shiny new stadium, I'm going to go with the Saints and say that they can't beat the Saints, man. And if they do, I'm going to be very impressed. I want them to. I kind of do because I hate the Saints. And I think it's fun to think of the Raiders being winners, but I don't. Just for the point of this exercise, I'm going with the Saints to win this game.
This game is like a very humorous end to what it was a very, very hard week of scheduling to pick. It was a lot of tough games. I was talking about it the whole time. This is half the games I couldn't make up my mind, and then ending it on this a little bit more lighthearted note is definitely good to see. The Raiders' new stadium is worth more than they are. Like that's the only reason they are in this spot on Monday night, because it's their home opener in their new stadium. That's the only reason they are there. Because if they weren't there, they'd be playing at 1 on any given Sunday, like at the Chargers. This would not be a special occasion at all. But they get to open up the new stadium, have the Saints come in, put 40 on them because obviously they're frauds. Everyone knows the Raiders are frauds. It's not a big surprise. They're going to lose the game. They're going to lose it handily, and it's going to be slightly amusing. And I might just watch the first half. We'll see what happens. But this I'm confident in my pick on this one. So maybe we'll come in here next week and we'll be completely wrong on everything like we were last week, and we'll be 8-8, and it's going to be horrible. But for right now, quite confident in what I'm saying. So quickly, what I wanted to do is go into betting, and I have to eat a little bit of my words from last week too. I said I have $5 on every single under in the entire league on 16 games. I made a total of 18 bets for last weekend, and I put down a total of $98 on 18 bets. I made $3 of profit off of the entire weekend, which is terrible. That's horrible equity. I think over half the games hit the over, so I expected to make 10 times the amount of profit. I made $3 off of 100, almost $100 at stake. Terrible equity, but going to redeem myself hopefully this week. And I'm going a little bit more conservative and old school because I'm only placing 3 bets. I have 3 bets. First one, the New Orleans Saints at -5.5 at Vegas. Are they joking? Are they making their own odds because they are in Vegas now? I would have taken the Saints at -10, and this is, by the way, for 1.91. So I got $10 on the Saints covering the spread, and I would have gone with a much higher spread too. Honestly, -5.5, that's nothing.
They're buying into that
Giants.
win last week, man.
I guess it was the Panthers.
Exactly.
Giants +5.5 against the Chicago Bears. I said it was going to be a very close game. To me, it's a coin flip. So with the spread like this, I can't resist putting 5 in. Like for 5.5, I can't resist putting. I have $5 on the Giants, making it a close one. It's going to be a field goal game in my opinion. So I'll take that. And then also the Vikings. I have the Vikings for a straight win against the Colts. Now I know I picked the Colts earlier today, but I'm going to more than double up, or you're going to more than double up if you pick the straight win for the Vikings because they're not favored. And I think maybe they should be slightly favored in the odds now. I don't know that a team that just lost to the Jaguars should be favored compared to a team that just lost to Aaron Rodgers in about equal fashions. So I also have $5 on the Vikings just straight up winning the game. So that's my resume today. Only $20 totally at risk. Saints to cover the spread and twice. Giants to keep it within 5.5, and the Vikings to beat the Colts. I'm hoping to have a little bit better equity this week because last week was terrible. But that's your betting advice. Put them in the bank, easy money, 100% guaranteed. Whatever my catchphrase is last week was a test run. This week is where we're correct. So I'm quite confident in this one. But do we have anything to add for today?
No, I think that's it. I will say, don't overreact to week 1. That's it.
True. That's a fairly good point. And stay tuned also for Smokey's Fantasy, a 5-minute fantasy corner maybe coming up over the next days on this channel also. We want to keep that separate from the main episode because with the predictions, the main episode, the scoreboard is already a little bit longer, and some people only come for fantasy, so there might be a little bit of a waiver wire and fantasy tips, pro tips for week 2 coming up, which if you don't want to miss that, you should subscribe to the channel, as well as more of the film studies and trash talk scoreboard episodes coming up every week. So subscribe to Beyond Football as well as Trash Talk Sports. Other than that, thank you for watching. Drop us a like, and we're going to see you in the next one.
Deuces.